Hello everyone, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel where I love to bring you the best tips and tools for creating beautiful home decor on a budget. Today I'm excited to share with you 6 more projects. These are Christmas home decor DIYs that I am making for my craft show this fall and holiday season. So I really hope you enjoy what you see. Let's just get right on into the crafting. For my first project today, I'm going to be upscaling some of these tags from Dollar General with some scrapbook paper, some wooden ornament cutouts from Dollar Tree, and some other items. So once you take the paper off, this is what you have with the Dollar General tags. You can use some of these galvanized metal words from Dollar Tree, maybe with some scrapbook paper as a background. You can also do things with stencils. I love these little plates that I found at Dollar General. I'm going to cut out the little truck and put it on a white and black background. And then I also have this Oh Holy Night stencil that I want to pair with one of these nativity wood ornaments from Hobby Lobby. You could also just do the scrapbook paper with a stenciled saying on top. Lots of different ways you can upgrade these $1 tags. So here, like I said, I'm going to cut out the back of this little truck. Super cute. I didn't worry about getting off the little side mirrors, just the main part of the truck. And then I'm just going to trim a piece of black and white gingham scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, just so that it's about the size of the tag. Then taking some of my matte finish Mod Podge, I'm just going to apply a light layer over the entire backside here of my tag. Spritz my scrapbook paper with a little bit of water. This just really helps it to lay flat on the Mod Podge. And really, I've come to find minimizes the air bubbles that get stuck underneath a lot of times. So smooth that out, set that aside, and let it dry. Now coming to my other tag, I loved how this fit right here on the tag, and I'm going to leave space for part of the stenciled saying, but I wanted a white background for this nativity ornament, and so I'm going to do kind of a what I would call a messy paint job just so it looks a little more worn. And then take my antique wax. I'm going to paint this on the entire front side of this beautiful wood nativity ornament. I absolutely love these from Hobby Lobby. So here you can see this is one of my stencils from a maker's studio. It says, Oh Holy Night, the stars are brightly shining, but I'm just going to use the Oh Holy Night so that I have space down there for the nativity ornament. So then taking some of my black gel art ink and my spreader, I'm just going to take that tiny little bit of paint there, press it down into the triple mesh stencil, spread it out evenly, and then once I peel it up, I will have my words. Now I will say, because I had done kind of a messy paint job, the surface was not completely flat, and so the words did kind of bleed a little bit, but I really loved how it turned out and made it look old. Now coming back to my nativity ornament, I'm just taking a gold paint pen here, and I'm going to paint the star at the top of the stable with my gold paint pen. And then I took a few more of these tiny wood stars. I believe these came from Hobby Lobby in a pack of all different sizes, and I'm going to add those as well. Now I'm coming back to the truck tag. My paper is now dry, so I'm taking my fingertip knife and just trimming off that excess paper. We have a nice surface now for our tag. I do go ahead and sand the edges just to make sure they are flat. Then taking my Mod Podge again, I'm just going to apply it to the back of my truck. That again was from a small paper plate. So just look for things on different places like napkins, little paper plates. You can use images from anywhere, gift bags. I just loved this truck. I'm Mod Podging it on there, smoothing it out, trying to get it all flat, no bubbles. And then once I do have it flat, I'm going to go ahead and put another layer of Mod Podge over the truck and also the entire front surface of our tag now that we have the scrap paper on there as well. So then while that's drying, we'll come back to our nativity ornament, and we're just now going to hot glue the wood ornament to the bottom of our tag sign. Get that on there securely. And then we will hot glue our 3 additional stars as well. I just loved how those helped fill in the empty white space on the tag. Now that our Mod Podge is dry on this tag, we can take another one of our stencils from a Maker Studio. This just says Merry and Bright, and I'm going to put this on with a red paint. And again, you just use a couple little dots of it and spread it into the stencil. And then once you have it all completely in there, you just peel up the stencil and you have a great image. This is actually no bake ceramic paint, but which I accidentally used. I thought I was using gel art, but it actually worked out just fine because it air dries and cures just fine for this surface as well. So there you go, Merry and Bright. The last step for each tag is just to add back in our strings. This red and white string is actually what came with this tag. I thought it went great with the truck. So once I put it through, I am going to get those 2 beads back on there and then tie a knot to hang it. For the nativity tag, I didn't want to use red and white, so I just used plain jute twine. I thought that went better with the neutral colors of this tag. And here's my 2 finished tags. I love taking the bones of the $1 tags from Dollar General and just adding your own little spin to them. There's so many different things that you can do with these just to personalize them and make them your own. Project number 2 is a Jenga block Christmas lantern. I am using actual Jenga blocks from a thrift store, but if you don't have those, you can definitely make a smaller version using tumbling tower blocks. You will need 36 blocks to make this lantern. So the first thing I'm going to do is give all of them a coat of white Waverly chalk paint on the front, back, sides, and ends. Once all of those are dry, here you can see I have 2 sets of 6. So I'm going to glue them long sides together using my level ruler just to try and make sure they are straight. And I'm going to, like I said, glue together 2 different sets of 6 blocks, and then we're going to let those dry. This is going to be the majority of our top and the bottom of our lantern. Next, I'm going to take 4 sets of 2 and I'm gluing them together end to end. There's my second set, and then below that ruler I'm going to do 2 more sets. Now these I'm going to need to complete the top and the bottom. I am then going to make a square out of 4 blocks. You can see how I'm gluing them together there to make a square, side to end, and then this last one will complete the square. This is going to be the actual very top of our lantern. Next, I need 4 more pairs glued end to end. These are going to be part of what gives the height to our lantern. So we've got 8 more blocks there that are going to be in sets of 2, and we just make sure these dry completely. Now, what you see here is our 2 sets of 6 and then 4 of the pairs. So to complete the top of my lantern, I'm taking, you can see a pair there on the side of the 6 and another pair on the other side. So it makes almost a square. We're going to do 2 of those. Then we're going to make 2 of these U's. We've got 2 blocks high on either side and 1 block joining them at the bottom. We're going to make 2 of these. These are going to be, like I said, the sides of our lantern to give it its height and help us connect the top and the bottom together. Next, I have my last two blocks are just two single loose blocks. You can see I have one of my U's, and I'm taking these other two single blocks and I'm gluing them there at the base of the U, coming up. Then once that dries, we'll glue the other U to it like this. And then once it's dry, you put glue all along the bottom, and we're going to center this then on the base of our lantern. This is very easy to make. You just want to make sure you let everything dry in between. Now that our base and our height of our lantern are dry, the last step will be to glue it to the top, which I'm doing upside down here. It just helps with the weight being on there. And I'm just using my level ruler to make sure my top and bottom are directly above and below each other. So here's the lantern mostly finished. The last thing will be to glue our little square on the top, and that is also where we will attach our handle. These are super cute. Now you could just leave this plain white, use it any time of year. Just hot glue a length of nautical rope there up and around to make your little handle. And you could keep this out all year. You could change up any florals or candles you put inside. I went ahead and took one of these little glass votives. I believe I got this at Dollar Tree last year with some black and white gingham. I've got a little battery tea light in there and just put a tiny little greenery with berries at the top of the handle. Again, you could change this out for any season or any holiday. If you are stopping by my channel for the first time today, welcome. I really hope you enjoy what you see and you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. Also, everyone, make sure you hit the bell and check your notifications so that YouTube will let you know each time I upload a new video. DIY number 3 is a Terrarium Nativity. This is super easy and fun to make. This is a craft kids could make. I'm going to use one of these terrariums, a thick circle wood cutout, some like hay grass, and just a wood bead and tumbling tower blocks. So I love these thick wood shapes. They're great for ornaments or signs. This is going to be the base of our nativity. So I just filled in that little hole. Then taking a wood bead, I'm just going to stick it on the end of a skewer so that I can paint it kind of a flesh tone color and then let that dry. Next, I have a little wood star from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to give that a coat of metallic gold paint. And then once the spackle inside our wood circle there is dry, I'm going to give this entire thing a coat of truffle chalk paint, just a dark wood color. And then this will be, like I said, the base for our nativity once that is completely painted and completely dried. We will then take some hot glue on the flat bottom of our little plastic terrarium planter. This is pretty thick plastic, so the hot glue didn't seem to bother it. And then just glue that right to the center of your wood circle. One other thing you'll need is like some white fabric, or here I'm just using some felt, and we're going to wrap this around the tumbling tower block, which will act as baby Jesus's body. So I did a little piece across the bottom there, and then this other long piece we are going to hot glue and then wrap around and then hot glue again once we get to the top. Then we'll add a little more hot glue here and attach the wood bead to be baby Jesus's head. And there's our baby Jesus for our nativity. Next, I'm taking some of this lighter colored grass, hay, I don't know what you want to call it, and just sticking it inside the terrarium there. You can trim any pieces that are sticking out, and this is just going to be our little manger for baby Jesus. You can just set him in there. You don't have to glue him in. Like I said, kids can play with this. It should be pretty safe. And the last thing is on this little loop where you can hang this terrarium, we're just going to hot glue the little star right up there. I just love the simplicity of this nativity and can't wait to make a few more of these for the craft show. I have another special announcement towards the end of this video, so be sure to keep watching so you will not miss out. DIY number 4 was a red truck Christmas tree farm sign using some 1-gallon paint stir sticks, some wood tree cutouts from Dollar Tree, some wood beads, and this window cling, I believe was from Walmart or Dollar General last year, but you can find something very similar. So of my 10 paint sticks, I'm going to use 8 to make the body of my sign. Here you can see I'm just kind of lining them up together. And then numbers 9 and 10, I'm going to trim so that I can fit these across the top and bottom of our sign, and that's also how our sign will be held together. So there you can see I cut them, I believe is at about 8 inches. Now those two I'm going to use my antique wax, give a coat of that, and then wipe off the excess. I really like how this sign turned out. I'm not sure that it's one that I would try to mass produce. I think I will probably put this one in my craft sale and maybe try to make one more so I have 2 of them. But it has a lot of steps using a lot of different items, that many of which I had on hand or are pretty easy to find. For my other 8 sticks for the sign, I am just going to give those a coat of white Waverly chalk paint, not worrying about getting them completely covered because we are going to distress this a little bit more once those pieces are dry. So once they are dry, I'm going to take some wood glue on the back of the smaller antique wax pieces, and we're going to attach our whole sign together using these 2 pieces that are going horizontally. So just a little bit of wood glue, hot glue, whatever you want to use, and get that sign put together. Like I said, I wanted to distress this a little bit more, so I'm just going to use some more of my antique wax, brush it on pretty lightly, and then wipe it, sand it, keep doing that until I like the finished look of my sign. So these are a couple options I had for the wood truck. I have this one that's an ornament. This one is the one that had 2 and it was a freestanding. I decided to use this one and a tree ornament. If you wanted to make your paint stick sign a little wider, you could use one of the larger Christmas trucks. So I'm going to use this Farm Fresh Christmas trees cling that's at the top here. And I'm going to use 4 of these jumbo craft sticks that I got at Walmart. It looks like I'm going to need 4 to make the sign, and then I cut 2 more sticks in half to do my pieces to hold them all together. So I really liked this font. You can find something similar on a Google image search as well. So just using some wood glue, then I'm taking my 4 half pieces and just gluing them across the back to hold our little sign together, and then we will let that dry completely. I wanted this to be like a tree right off the farm, so I did go ahead with my scissors and cut off the star at the top, and then we just have the tree. Then I decided for my truck, you could definitely use acrylic paints. I decided to break out my paint markers and do a little coloring, and so I'm going to just color my truck mostly red. I have a slightly darker red that I'll use to do some accents. And then in a second, you'll see I'll also be using brown and black of my paint markers. For my tree, I'm just using a dark green paint marker. This is a medium tip. You can see it's great for coloring big areas really quickly. And that I also find at Walmart in the craft aisle. Using a black fine tip, I'm going to go ahead and outline the black tires on the truck. And then we'll just add a few more details with the black where like the fender would be, the little driver's side mirror, and maybe around the door handle a little bit, just to give a little bit more character and make our truck not look quite so flat. But I love using paint markers for items like this. And then now with our tree, we'll go ahead and we will hot glue that right into the back of our truck. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll glue our truck onto our sign. You can see I've got the tires kind of on that bottom wood piece and then the tree to the back of the sign. Coming back to our little sign we made out of the craft sticks, we're going to go ahead and antique wax this, brushing it on and wiping it off like you've seen me do a million times, but I love it so much. And then we're going to go ahead once that's dry and put a little bit of Mod Podge on it. I decided to go ahead and trim the brown off the window cling because it was a little bit different brown. And then we're going to Mod Podge those white the white sign with the words onto our craft stick sign. So just Mod Podge, put the window cling on, and then we will Mod Podge over the top of it as well. Once that's dry, we're going to glue another small piece of craft stick as the sign post for our sign. I just kind of have it fitting there coming out from behind the Christmas tree. And then we'll go ahead and glue our sign to that as well. And our sign is almost complete. Now we're just going to add some details. So the next thing I'm going to do is take a couple green buttons and I'm going to hot glue these into the center of our tires. Of course, this is optional, but I just love that this added a little bit of whimsical and another texture element to our sign. Now I'm going to make a beaded hanger for my sign. I'm using some jute twine doubled over, tie a knot on one end, and then put some Scotch tape on the other end. This just makes it a little easier to put the beads actually onto the string. And I just had these beads on hand. You can use any beads you want. I'm just doing a mixture of red, natural wood color, and black. I thought those three would go really nicely with the colors in this sign. Once you have them as long as you want, put another knot, and then we're going to go ahead and hot glue our bead strand to the back of our sign, just putting a bunch of hot glue, low temp so you can touch it without burning yourself, and then kind of press that jute twine into the hot glue. You'll do this on both sides and wait until it's dry, and then you'll be able to pick it up by the beaded hanger. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a crisscross bow to the top of my sign. Again, an optional step. You can use one of the bows already made from Dollar Tree. I just really like for a country type sign for this, like this, to do the different ribbons crisscrossed and then tie them in the center with some jute twine. So just take a bunch of ribbons you have, make 2 pieces of each that you can crisscross, and then once you have it built, you'll tie it together in the middle, and then you can hot glue it to your image. So there you can see I've got lots of different layers. I'm going to tie a knot with my jute twine to make my messy bow, and then we'll add this to the top of our sign. And here's the finished sign with all the different elements that we put together to create this. I love it. If it's not something you have all the pieces for, just go ahead and modify with what you have on hand. DIY number 5 was one of my top sellers last year for the craft show. These triangle Christmas trees using these triangle wall signs and these word ornaments from Dollar Tree. Also some scrapbook paper and some wood blocks. So the first step is to remove the backing from the triangle frame. And you can do that just by kind of breaking the seal there between the paper backing and the triangle frame using a knife, and just gently press it out away from the frame. So then the next thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and peel off that extra paper. You can also use some sandpaper just to get any of those extra paper edges that are sticking out. We want this to be a nice looking finished product for our craft show. Once I got all that paper off of my 2 frames, I did take my antique wax. It is a nice light wood color. If that's what you want, you can keep that. Or you can do the extra step like I'm doing and do the antique wax on the outside and the inside of the frame, as well as on the front edge right here. I did all of it antique wax, except for the very back that's going to be glued to the backing anyway. So brush it all on, wipe it off, and I really love the nice dark, look at how different it is from the original color. I just think it adds so much value to it. So now I like matching up these plaid ornaments with different scrapbook papers, and I decided to put this one for the joy. Now you can see that my triangle is white. I did go ahead and finish peeling off the backing paper that came on the shelf, just to give it a nice clean and flat surface. So go ahead and brush on some matte finish Mod Podge. Spritz a little bit of water on the back of your scrapbook paper. I'll say I got all these at Hobby Lobby when Paper Studio was half price. So that's the best time to go get your individual sheets of scrapbook paper. Press it on, and then we're going to do that same thing to our other triangle and then let those dry. Once those are dry, you can just put them upside down on a cutting mat and use your fingertip knife to go ahead and trim away the excess scrapbook paper, and then you have a wonderful Christmassy now background to this triangle shelf. Take your hot glue, and then you'll go ahead and very carefully put it along the back side of the triangle frame, and we will now put these pieces back together to be our triangle Christmas tree. Now for the trunks of my trees, I'm just using a few blocks I got at a thrift store. You could make bases with tumbling tower blocks if you'd like. You could use the wood cubes from Dollar Tree, but those are $1 each, so it's going to add to the cost of your tree. I just painted those with truffle chalk paint. Then I took 2 of these larger wood stars from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to do antique wax on these as well, front and back and all the edges, just so that they match the scrapbook paper and also the frame of the triangle tree. Once my wood blocks are dry, I'm going to take 2 of them and glue them together. This is just so that my trees are 2 different heights, and we'll let that dry and then glue everything together. I'm just going to put some hot glue at the top here and glue my antique wax star up here at the top. And then you can see our ornament fits in there pretty nicely. We'll just put a little hot glue across the bottom of the ornament and then a little in the top 2 corners. Glue that to the front bottom of our triangle tree. And then we'll do the same thing with the star and ornament for our second tree. Then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to glue our trunks onto our trees. You can see I distressed the trunks a little bit with some sandpaper. And to glue them on, I'm going to do a combination of wood glue and hot glue. And then while the tree is laying flat, I'm just going to attach that trunk and then let them dry completely. Like I said, these were one of my best sellers at last year's craft show. The frame is $1, the ornaments $1, the rest of the pieces maybe another 50 cents. So I would sell these from anywhere from $8 to $10 depending on where you live. But I loved these trees so much. I am truly thankful for each and every one of my subscribers and faithful viewers, and I am enjoying doing little giveaways for you guys. So I have another one for you today. I have found 3 sets of these metal words for Christmas that say peace, joy, and believe, and I'm going to give these 3 away randomly to someone who comments on this video with their favorite project from this video. So be sure to watch all the way to the end so that you can make your comment and then enter into the drawing. My last project for this video is this round Merry Christmas sign. Now I'm using a round pine board, but you could use one of the round hanging ornament signs from Dollar Tree. I'm using some Merry Christmas words and some ribbon and Christmas florals. So this, like you can see, was a pine board. I'm not sure where they got it. I found it at a thrift store, but I know you can get round boards like this at like Lowe's or Home Depot. This is 14 inches across. This had been painted or stained, and I sanded it off because it had some wording on it. So I'm just going to go back over it with my antique wax just to bring out that beautiful wood grain, but have a nice darker wood look to it. So like always, brush it on, wipe off the excess, and then we're going to go ahead and let that dry completely. Now I have these Merry Christmas words from a local dollar store. I'm going to paint them white. I know that Hobby Lobby has a larger version that is connected. The 2 words are connected. You could use that as well. Or you could cut out some vinyl or stencil these words. But I'm going to go ahead and use these wood words. And then once my circle sign is dry, I am going to put down some painter's tape because I want a section, like a stripe, to go across the middle that's going to be red. I'm going to use the Crimson Waverly chalk paint. So here you can see I'm just kind of trying to eyeball how big of a section I need to tape off. So we'll tape that off, and I did need to use 2 coats of the Crimson chalk paint just to get the red nice and solid on top of the antique wax. Then for long-term durability of this sign, I did go ahead once the red was dry and I brushed a light layer of the matte finish Mod Podge all over the top. This just gives it a nice, maybe not waterproof, but more water resistant cover, and I just think makes it look really nice and even more high-end. Then once that was dry, I'm just taking a little bit of hot glue and I'm gluing my wood words on now. I'm going to have the word Christmas there at the base of the red, and then the Merry kind of up and to the left. So we'll get all those glued on. And then the next thing we're going to do is embellish with another crisscross bow at the top. I'm using bigger ribbon this time and longer pieces, but I'm mostly going to use this red and black check and then a plain burlap ribbon. I'm going to dovetail the ends and then just layer these on top of each other and then tie them in the center again with jute twine to create the bow. Once you have your bow tied together, and these are wired ribbons, you can kind of fluff it out and bend it into whatever shape you'd like. Then go ahead and find your spot where you want to glue this onto your sign and just attach that down with a little bit of hot glue And then we'll move on to my favorite part, which is embellishing this now with some Christmas florals. You can find these at Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Walmart, anywhere. I'm just cutting pieces and hot gluing them kind of under and around the bow, just until I have the finished look of what I like. I've used about 3 or 4 different types of greenery, and then some of these berries. Some of these little pieces, I glued one at the top of the bow and one at the bottom, and I love how this turned out. I may not sell this. I may decide I want to keep this for myself. I might make some smaller ones using the ornament hanging signs from Dollar Tree. But this is my finished look, and I love this. It definitely gets me in the farmhouse Christmas mood, and I hope you guys liked it too. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know that you are enjoying my videos. Also, be sure to comment which of these projects was your favorite, so you will be entered into the drawing for the Christmas Galvanized Metal Words from Dollar Tree. I will close the comments for the drawing on Saturday, October 16th, 2021 at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks so much and good luck. See you next time.